Just hold on a second. Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to hell. Welcome to Friday Fart Bags. Welcome to Friday, what is it? Which whoop flies best Friday? There's no such thing as best. Why did this, what, oh. I thought this monitor turned off. I was just looking at a black screen. Ew. Yikes. Fart Bag Friday. These little Betafpv dongle bastards are back in stock on the Etsy store. One of these little guys is about to go back in stock. This is the little cell checker, the BT 2.0 cell checker. That's also a little tiny charger through USB-C. This is about to go back in stock. I found one more of these. And look at this. M1.4x5 screws have arrived. We're going to see if these are too long for the 75mm 2S builds. I think we'll be okay, but we'll test them out and see what's up. Tonight, Q&A, as always. 6 batteries, probably more than 6. And which whoop flies best? Which whoop flies best? There is no such thing as best. There's just different. And that's what we're going to talk about. What's happening at the bottom of the screen here? Hold on. Hold on. What is this all fugged up for? There we go. That's better. All right. Haha! Or is it? Well, it's all fucked up. Oh, I know why. I know why. That's okay. I'd rather have it like this. All right, we're good. Everything's fine. What's up, friends? Yeah, we've got. Look at this. Look at this. This is incredibly satisfying. We've got 1, 2, 3 with CO3s and Betafpv banana hammock mounts. 1, 2, 3 with old school Mobula 6 ball sack mounts and RunCam Nano 3s. And so we're going to run the gambit of different weights, different motors, different KVs, all 702s, but different motor manufacturers, different KVs. Mainly Happy Model and Betafpv. Although no, we got RC and Power in the mix here as well. So yeah, we're gonna be flying builds as light as 16.61 grams. I spent a little bit of time with the prototype Air 65, getting it a little bit lighter. All the way up to the fattest rig that we're gonna fly, which is now 17.6. Let's weigh them all. Air 65 lightened up a little bit. About as light as you can get it with off-the-shelf parts. 16.6 grams. Air 65 Champion Race Edition. 17.2. Custom build. This is the Betafpv Matrix AIO Happy Model 40,000 kV motors. NewBeeDrone Cockroach V3. Betafpv Banana Hammock Mount CO3 lightweight antenna. 17.67. Mobula 6 2024 direct soldered light AF frame Weebleed 40,000 kV motors with the 1.5mm motor shafts. 17.10 grams. Let me put these in a way that looks cool over here. Ultimate Freestyle TinyWhoop. This is going to be the heavy one. 2G4 RC and Power motors. RunCam Nano 3. There we go. 18.37 grams. This is going to be the fattest thing that we fly today. Tonight. It's night. And then another Ultimate Freestyle TinyWhoop. The Trans Rights or I Bite frame. Build, rather. Moon Traveler 0702s. 2G4. Ball sack canopy. 18.07 grams. So yeah, all different weights, all different amounts of power, all different levels of durability. This is the build that we broke last time. I put it in the white light AF frame and it broke pretty immediately. After one hell of a crash, admittedly. I think that crash was just a bit much. And so now I've got it in a white Cockroach V3 frame, 40,000 kV motors, and yeah, this is the red and white build to match the logo up there. CO3. This is I don't typically run these CO3s on like non-full Betafpv builds, so this is cool because this is on Happy Model motors, which I'm super familiar with. So we'll see how that is. Air 65 Champion Edition. Awesome, awesome, awesome flying rig. And then the old school prototype Air 65. This is pretty much an Air 65. I don't know if it's the freestyle or the race. The motors are 27,000 kV, I want to say. Yeah, 27,000 kV. All different propellers on these rigs, too. So we're going to talk about the different propellers and what they do better and worse than one another. So, should be fun. Should be a cool stream talking about that stuff. Look at them all. Look at them all! All hanging out there. Shout out to Betafpv and Happy Model for sending me over a bunch of these. You know, a couple of these are scratch builds from my own parts, but like 1, 2, 3, like 4 of these are primarily parts that were sent over to me as either prototype rigs or like review rigs or whatever. And that's cool of Betafpv and Happy Model to put their money where their mouth is and send the guy that hates everything and is super critical and is not afraid to talk shit about stuff a bunch of gear for nothing, you know? Cheatonian was first in the chat. Cole Powers, Chuck P, Bird Person PFV, Person Field of View. What is that? People Field of View, Person Field of View. Rockcrawler, Chaser FPV, Ra FPV, Uriel, Hendrix, Freakazoid, Brent Anderson, Weber FPV, Cold Front and Penguin, Douglas 6, Cole Powers, Frank Nicholas, Northern Tier, Brian Tegger, Uriel again, King Dingaling, Johnny V, Kevin Sumner, what's up, homie? Game Cinna. Who else is here? 73 FPV, Sergio Neves, what's up, everybody? Thanks for coming. Chill stream tonight. Super excited to see if these M1.4x5s are the right length, because the M1.4x4s in these 75mm 2S builds with the spacers, boy, they just barely catch the threads on the stator. They do like compress, like when you start tightening it up, it does compress the spacer into the plastic frame, and it seems like there's just barely enough thread engagement on the bottom of the stator, but it's close. I have not had one strip out yet. Somebody in chat has. And so, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think this is the right size. I think M1.4x5 is the right size. It is going to depend on the motors, though. If you're running NewBeeDrone 0702s, be super careful. They do not have holes in the PCB above the stator base for extra screw length to go through. So if you've got a NewBeeDrone 0702 and you put a motor screw in there that's too long, it's going to break that PCB that the wires hook up to, and it's going to ruin that stator. So be super careful if you've got NewBeeDrone 0702s. You cannot run screws that are even a little bit too long. I've made that mistake 2 times on live streams thus far, and completely ruined 2 sets of 702s. If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV. If you do that, it'll light up an orange for me and me alone. You can do it with yourself. If you type your own name and you spell it right, it'll light up an orange for yourself. You can do that with each other. If you want to get Douglas 6's attention, just type Douglas 6, no space. And for him, his name will light up an orange. He'll see your message. He'll reply to you. Uriel tagged me and said, oh, there he is. Happy New Year, friend. Happy New Year to all of you beautiful bastards. Cole Power says, intro video is basically racing practice. Yeah, that was a slot car place in Helen, Georgia. Super fun to chase those little guys around. Boy, oh boy, do they change direction quick. Jesus. King Dingling says, oh, that was the Freestyle 1S walk snail 65mm rig, by the way. Because the Batwing rig, what was it doing? It wasn't binding? I think it wasn't binding. I think I just needed to unplug and plug it 3 times. But that reminds me. I believe when I got home, I got it fixed, but I want to make sure of that. So I'm going to go like this as a reminder to myself. So this is the rig that was flying in the intro. Cockroach V3 frame, Betafpv old school F4 cross style AIO with no VTX built in. Walk snail up on top, Mobula 6 canopy, True RC singularity inside the canopy there. We Bleed 0702 40,000 kV motors and the new HQ biblades, ultralight biblades. Flies great. But this is the rig that I really wanted to fly during that, but it would not, it was doing something. Something was wrong. So I'm going to leave this on the desk as my reminder to plug it in and make sure that it's flying. And or get it flying. Know what I'm saying? King Dingling says, if anyone is feeling like rolling the dice, AliExpress has 2 G4s for like $55 shipped. That's pretty good. You know who also has them, though, is We Bleed. And I don't think they're much more expensive than that. 2G4. Ah, they are quite a bit more expensive. $75. Worth it, though. Cold Front and Penguin says, do you have any intel on BaconFPV? Missed that dude. No, I don't necessarily know who that is. BaconFPV, huh? Uriel says, I was in the collective, the OG collective. The girl did something to Teddy, a kick or something. Just ask her to be honest. And to something of motors freaks him out. Sorry. Uriel is potentially on bath salts tonight. I don't know. Cole Powers says, I find it comical that you have like $1,000 worth of TinyWhoop sitting there, and altogether they still don't break the 250 gram limit. Yeah, it's true. It's true, man. TinyWhoops are the future. They will never be. You can't ban them. You know, I do whatever the hell I want inside the house, and quite frankly, if you go outside and fly a TinyWhoop, you're not gonna get in trouble. So yeah, TinyWhoops forever. We are on the cutting edge. Maybe, sorta. We are future-proofing ourselves with all of the effort that we're putting into TinyWhoops, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? YouTube did the thing. Scrolling back up. Sergio Neves says, what is your best TinyWhoop that you love to smash around analog? Yeah, there's just, like I put in the stream title, there is no best. There's just different. I don't really have a favorite. They all do different things. You know, sometimes it's cool to, you know, look, right, like when people that are into cars, if somebody that's into cars becomes independently wealthy, what do? They build a giant garage and they buy a shitload of different cars. With TinyWhoops, what are you paying? $100, $150 max? Take it, feel independently wealthy, and build a few, right? And build them so that, you know, you got one that's super lightweight, you've got one that's super powerful, you've got one that's somewhere in between, and you can feel like Jay Leno. Yeah, there really and truly is no best. I mean, like, gun to my head, I guess best would be like an ultimate freestyle TinyWhoop, right? Like super dialed in formula. Cockroach V3 or light AF frame. I don't really care between the two at this point. The light AF is a little bit more fragile, but a little bit lighter, right? I do think I like the Happy Model motors the best. They seem to have the best mix of power and efficiency, and you can get the Weebleed bells that have 1.5 millimeter tiny motor shafts for them, and sooner than later we will have a bunch of propeller options for that. That's a big deal. AIO, yeah, I think it's the 2G4 still for me, just for durability's sake. Cameron canopy, I like the Mobile 6 canopy and the Runcam Nano 3. Unfortunately, you can't get the Runcam Nano 3 anymore, so I think the best bet in terms of camera is the CO3. I don't really have a favorite mount for it. I don't hate the Betafpv banana hammock mount. I don't love it either. So yeah. But like, luckily with TinyWhoops, it's so cheap. And a lot of this stuff is literally plug and play. You know, get a couple different setups. If you really don't like a set of motors, throw them up in Marketplace or post on my Discord about them. And you find somebody else to buy them for, you know, $10 less than you bought them for, and away you go. It's one of my favorite things about TinyWhoops. Like, from one of the reasons when I first got into FPV that I didn't build a 5-inch rig for years, literally years, was that they're a lot more expensive. And throughout my entire FPV career, or whatever you want to call it, things being inexpensive has always been like really, really, really important. And TinyWhoops are about as inexpensive as it gets. And like, if you're like me and you like, you know, testing stuff and It's amazing, right? You can easily switch stuff back and forth. It's really inexpensive, and it's super, super, super durable. So you're not spending tons of time at the workbench just cranking away, soldering, replacing arms, all that nonsense. You're spending your time flying. And the deeper and deeper I get into FPV, the more I realize that that's where the juice is flying. And so, yeah, I'm lucky. This is all torn apart back here. I finally spent the time to get the light LED light strips hung on the back of these guys yesterday, and in the process of doing so, I managed to break a pad off of one of the light strips when I was plugging it in, and it ripped the pad completely off. I tried to scrape away, and I was able to get it kind of soldered down to the trace, but it wasn't going to be strong enough. And so I need more lights. I only have enough to go. I only ordered enough to go down here and then up here. They're all mounted in the back, so you can't see them. You just get the glow. So up here and then all the way down this run, which is great for the live stream. Like, that's all that you guys can see. But then the other side of this big 4x4 cube, I didn't quite have enough lights to run down there. And so I had to buy another reel of these anyway. So it's actually not the end of the world at all. I'm just annoyed because I was really looking forward to having those hung back there properly in the channel with the diffuser, and now I gotta wait for the new lights to come. But that's okay. I can finish it all up, and I learned. So, like, if you're gonna use these little, you know what I mean, the little strip LED lights with the little chip RGB, sometimes white lights on the super thin, you know, it's basically a big long flexible PVB with the double-sided adhesive on the back. The pads are not very strong on there. So what you want to do, in my opinion, is solder your leads down. In this case, there's 4 leads. Solder those leads down, and then take E6000 and do a nice big blob of E6000 that covers up the leads and then runs down onto the actual PCB. E6000 is clear, and it works really, really well. I did that. Well, here, I can show you this one. So this is the one that goes up here, and yeah, it's perfectly clear. So, like, even if you get it on the chip, it won't really matter. But yeah, that is now. Come on, you fuckbag. There you go. I mean, you can barely see it, but I also have it going up the wires a little bit. You see the wires, how they look kind of like wet? That's the E6000. But yeah, if I'd thought to do this, I wouldn't have ripped that pad off. And then since it's E6000, it's soft, and you can peel it off if you ever need to get it off of there. I was thinking about doing it with conformal coating, but I didn't know if the conformal coating would be strong enough. And so, yeah, I chose E6000 because I've always had really good luck peeling E6000 off. Like, it sticks to itself good enough so you peel at it, and then you just get a little edge and you just pull it, and it'll stretch like crazy, but it sticks to itself. It doesn't tear in the way that liquid electrical tape does. I hate liquid electric tape. Like, you can start to peel it, but then as soon as you try to get it off, it just rips apart, and you got to just continually sit there and peel at it. E6000 is 7,000 times better as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, that was a bummer. I was like, that's something that I've been dragging my feet to do for like 6 months. And the reason that I didn't do it is because I had to pull I had to pull these big bastards out to get to the back, and I just didn't feel like doing that because I had to empty the things all out, and it was just a big thing. But yeah, I'm closer than I have been. Moss1 says, "What's up, mofos?" Himok says, "Hello, Mr. Ciotti." Dave Gunna says, "Even the NewBeeDrone Light AF frame uses 1.4 2mm motor screws. Using any longer could mess up motors." Yep. When you buy a NewBeeDrone Light AF or Cockroach V3 frame, it's going to come with screws. Make sure you use those screws. Kind of self-explanatory. If you buy a frame and it comes with motor screws, none of the other frames really come with motor screws. It's a super clear indication that you should be using those motor screws, right? But yeah, that's very important. 73FPV says, "Happy New Year, CiottiFPV, sir." Happy New Year to all of you, beautiful people. Game Cinna retracted a bunch of messages. I wonder what they said. Himok says, "I soldered ELRS light receiver on Betafpv Matrix 1S and everything is working fine, but the internal receiver is still on. Is there a way to turn it off? The temp is going high because of it." Boy, I have no clue. You're going to have to ask Betafpv that. That's a super specific question. And that's like a brand new AIO. So yeah, you got to ask Betafpv that. I can't imagine that anybody would know the answer to that. Nick Less Sticks FPV says, "Hello, do you still fly 5-inch? I fly everything. I just, with how good, so I fly the TinyWhoops typically for work, and then for the live streams, because like I have to fly in the house for it to be in range of the VRX, right? It's pretty much all TinyWhoop. I don't really like go out and fly for fun per se. I don't go outside and fly for fun anymore. Flying for work is unbelievably fun. Flying on these live streams is unbelievably fun. The last few times I went out and flew 5-inch, it wasn't as fun. But I'm a super weirdo, right? Like my work is like subject-driven flying at like in like insane situations, right? 2 days ago, it was a 16-story hotel being demolished, right? Like that's insane. So don't let like the fact that I don't fly 5-inch much anymore affect anybody else. Back before this was my job, flying 5-inch rigs in parking lots was about as good as it gets. It was super, super, super fun. I did it a lot. I did it all the time. I flew probably tens of thousands of batteries. And then I moved on to some other stuff. And like, you know, driving 20, 30 minutes to a spot, having to deal with like, oh, I hope there's no people or security or, and then breaking a bunch of stuff, having like, you know, if I'm carrying a session around, having like $500 up in the air that then slams into concrete, right? Like there's all these things about like 5-inch freestyle that make it either like way more expensive or way more sketchy or way more time consuming. And, you know, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, I'm over 8 years into FPV. And when you've been in it that long, you find these little things here and there that allow you to do. It becomes more important to like prioritize the things that are ultra, ultra, ultra fun. And breaking a bunch of shit and then coming home and having to fix them and getting carbon fiber splinters all over the place and all that, right? That gets old. And like I said, I did that for years. And so I've found some stuff that doesn't necessarily include 5-inch that is super, super, super fun, gives me a lot of flight time, and maximizes that sort of like bang for your buck. Every once in a while, I'll fly a 5-inch rig on set or on assignment or whatever for work. But yeah, parking lots and like the side of office buildings, You know, once you've flown a few thousand batteries in those scenarios, it's kind of like, all right, well, what's next? And so, yeah, we've also lost a lot of spots here in Atlanta. You know, it's cool and all, Atlanta being like this FPV mecca and there being like a lot of people that fly here. But when there's a lot of people that fly here, there's a lot of idiots that fly here, and there's a lot of idiots that ruin spots for all of us. And so, yeah, a lot of the really good spots are long gone. And I just don't pay enough attention to that, to the freestyle scene here to know where like the new spots really are. You know, this house that I live in is one of the best spots I've ever flown. And I can only fly it with TinyWhoops. So, but yeah, it's when I do go out and fly 5-inch rigs, it is fun to have something that'll go 80, 90, 100 miles an hour, and you know, makes an awesome sound and whatnot. But like, there's just so many other things that are kind of obnoxious about it. Every year at Rampage, I have a blast flying 5-inch rigs. That's a really cool location, though. You know what I mean? Like, I sort of have unrealistic expectations for the location being really good nowadays, and that's fine. You know, like, because I'm in this situation where it's super fun to fly at home. The flying that I do for work is super fun, subject-driven flying, typically with CiottiFPVs, right? Again. And then so like if I fly 5-inch rigs, it's going to be at like it's going to be at a super interesting location. And you know, on a Tuesday driving 2 hours to a super interesting location, that's tough. So yeah, I don't do it much anymore. But all of the TinyWhoop flying has made me a significantly better pilot than I used to be. And so the few times a year that I do fly 5-inch rigs, I'm just like, oh wow, okay, I couldn't do that last time I flew, which is like super satisfying. And especially now with that we've got like 6-to-1, 7-to-1 power to weight ratio on TinyWhoops. When I fly 5-inch rigs, it just feels normal, and I'm just able to absolutely shred. I mean, you know, this last year at Rampage, none of my gear was working right at all. I made the terrible assumption that like when I put the gear, so I do a thing where if I put if I go out and fly a rig and break it, it doesn't go back up on the wall. It goes on the floor here in like the on deck circle, and then it goes to the bench. It gets fixed, and when it's fixed, it goes up onto the wall. Well, apparently I broke that rule. And I didn't realize that I broke that rule. So, like, my gear was a hot mess at Rampage this year. But I'd been flying a lot of TinyWhoop in 2024. And I was able, even with, like, gear that was unruly as shit, I was shredding pretty good at a couple of the spots there. I'm looking for a little bit of flight footage here for you. What is this? No, this is when this is one of the rigs that was acting up, actually. What's this here? Oh, easy. This is just like the last battery. I don't necessarily know if this is one of the good batteries, but the one battery I was absolutely on fire, but this is just like a random battery from Rampage. I realized that I hadn't flown at this point. I hadn't flown 5-inch freestyle. I'd flown a couple of like the long range live broadcast rigs that I have, but just for testing. I hadn't flown hard freestyle since last Rampage. So this is not flying 5-inch freestyle for a year, and this was like the 4th battery back, I guess you could say, or whatever. And yeah, I just like kind of fell right into it. I wasn't totally the hardest thing was getting used to the up tilt. 30-degree up tilt flies significantly different than, well, I mean, every time you change up tilt, it makes a massive difference. And yeah, so there was a big adjustment getting used to 30 degrees of up tilt. Just trying to see where the tune's at here real quick and make sure that it's got some semblance of range. But yeah, I was really happy that I was able to kind of jump right back into this and fly somewhat decent and like shoot some small gaps and kind of, yeah, I don't know. You like, there's always a worry that you're gonna lose what, you know, like if you don't fly 5-inch for a while, you're gonna lose your ability to kind of do it or whatever. And it was nice that that was not the case. So yeah, this isn't the battery that I was on fire, but I mean, this ain't bad. This is all right. The I remember being like, ooh, 30 degree. I hadn't flown 30 degree up tilt in so long that I was like, ooh, you can really see behind you. I was really kind of taking advantage of that and doing some backwards stuff. That's when somebody was like, wires, wires, wires. I didn't realize that there were so many wires on that antenna there. But yeah, I can still fly 5-inch. It's a lot of time investment and money investment. And I have just as much fun, if not more fun, flying TinyWhoops around the house. You know, like this location is unbelievable, but this is far away and we only get to fly here once a year, right? Like I can fly this house whenever I want. And it's like, you know, I have gates set up and dives and all this stuff that is not quite as good as this, but you know, really, really good. Yeah, I think on the previous battery to this, I did that. Oops. I did that that little pipes next to the wall dive there. I should have hit that little gap between those pipes, but I mean, the other thing that's interesting when I fly 5-inch rigs, like back in the day, it was like I had something to prove. You know, I was trying to have like that one 5-inch banger battery that would like help me get more views and all that nonsense. Now it's I just don't care at all. Like it's just 100% for fun. You know, this is me just like farting around having fun, which is really, really nice. It's there's so much, you know, there's no pressure at this point, which is great. And I can just have a good time. And like, you know, this location, this is the perfect size spot for a 5-inch rig. Like this is meant to be flown here. And it feels right. And that's so good. It's so good to fly something that's the right power level, the right weight, the right everything for that specific spot. And that's exactly what this is. I think that that broke an arm there, which I don't think I've fixed yet. Come to think of it. I think that's this rig here. It does not have propellers on it because it needs to get fixed. So yeah, Dave Gunna says, ordered the new Matrix 5-in-1 for $44 on AliExpress, slightly cheaper than the 2G4. Wow, $44 is a really good deal, as long as it holds up. Brad Mondin says, building a 3.5-inch Freestyle on a Volador frame, walk snail 850 mAh. Would you recommend Xnova 1804 on 4S? Probably not sub 250. Yeah, man, the Xnova 1804 3500s are an amazing motor, especially for a 3.5-inch build. They are not quite high enough kV for a 3-inch build, although they almost are. If you can find some of the discontinued T-Motor 3140 props, or if you just snag yourself some of the GemFan 3052s, they run really good on those motors. They don't make quite enough power, but with a 3-inch rig, you don't want tons of power. So it's kind of nice because it keeps you from going overboard on your power to weight ratio. And like the whole point of a 3.5-inch rig is that you fly it at smaller locations. That location there, flying a 3-inch rig, that feels like a big spot. Flying a 5-inch rig, it feels almost a little small, but like medium to small of a spot. And so, yeah, I'm not a fan of 3.5 inch rigs that have like a 10-to-1 power to weight ratio, because it like kind of encourages you to fly it in the same way that you would fly, and in the same locations that you would fly a 5-inch rig, and that doesn't make any sense, right? Like, if you're going to build something smaller, fly it smaller. Don't fly a small rig like you would fly a 5-inch rig. The 5-inch build is always going to fly better. There's been way more R&D time spent on that propeller size, and there's something like the polycarbonate that we make these propellers out of, 5-inch diameter, is as big as you really want to go with those propellers before that material and that blade length starts to have issues with resonance and whatnot. So, and when we talk about, like, you know, the bigger the propeller, the better the efficiency, right? It makes sense that for each different propeller material, the biggest prop size that works well in that material is going to be where the magic happens. Where the most magic happens, I should say. And that's a lot. That has a lot to do with why 5-inch flies the way that it does. Right? We've got the most efficient possible propeller in the material that's the most durable, the lightest. And then we've got all this R&D that our entire community has thrown in it in the last 10 years. So, yeah, we will struggle to get any other propeller size to fly as good as 5-inch rigs, probably forever. We will probably never bridge that gap, right? Because people keep flying it, and propeller manufacturers keep getting better, and frame manufacturers keep getting better, motors keep getting better. So we'll probably never close that gap. But, you know, 5-inch rigs look a lot like what they're flying overseas, and they make a horrendous amount of noise, and they can hurt someone, and they can damage buildings and cars and stuff. And that's tough, you know, and you have to drive to a spot to fly them, right? And those are all serious limitations. So, like, yeah, if you live in a house with a backyard that's like 10 acres and your neighbors don't care, oh boy, that must be fun. CiottiFPV had that situation, and it was wild. He could just fly from his back porch and just rip all day. Not many people have that situation. So, Steve Sims says, bought a Mobula 7 with no receiver, converted it to 2SV3. Now what do I do in Betaflight to enable receiver? I mean, well, first you got to put a receiver on it. You got to solder up a receiver to it. And then in Betaflight, you're going to go into the ports tab, and whichever UART you put that receiver on, you're going to enable serial RX on that UART in Betaflight, and that's going to you're then telling Betaflight that you've got a receiver on that UART, and then you bind up to the receiver, and away you go. Joshua Bardwell has some amazing, FPV 101 videos, how to build it, how to set it up in Betaflight, and yeah, there'll be a bunch of info in those videos. He's done that. He's done a couple of those series, so there's a bunch of those to look at. If you need a little bit more of a step-by-step. Uriel says, my LED strips you can cut and solder. Yep, these two. I cut very specific lengths for each little run. And then I bought... check this out, actually. I looked around... So I've got them running down here, and then they make a corner, and then they make another corner. But I wanted them to be detachable from one another. So what I actually ended up doing is buying, what are these, 5S balance leads? No, 3S. These LED strips that I've got are 4-pad. So I bought 3S balance leads, the male and the female, and then I've been cutting them really short, and now I've got connectors on each one of these. I've got a connector in between these two, right, so that I can disconnect them and then pull just this out or pull just this out. I've got a connector on this corner here in between these two. I haven't decided what to do up here. I could just do a... I also have these little 90-degree PCBs. They're floating around here somewhere. So I could use those up on the corner here. But the problem with doing that is there's like a gap between each pad on the LED strips. And so it's probably not going to perfectly line up into the corner. You know what I mean? So I'll probably end up using these 3S balance leads up in the corners as well. As long as I have enough of them. I think I have enough. Oh, here they are. I put them in here. Yeah, so they sell these little 90-degree PCB, just flat little bastards. But yeah, I'll never get the perfect length here. I can get the perfect length here. I won't get the perfect length on the other side. And so, yeah, I'll probably just end up using these 3S balance leads. But yeah, super cool little setup if you're looking to do something like that. Just buy male, female 3S balance leads. Or 4S or 5S. Different LED strips that have different configurations can be 3-pad, 4-pad, 5-pad, 6-pad, so you got to match it up. But yeah, that's how I did it, so that I could have quick disconnects and take each section off individually. And the thanks that I got is ripping one of the pads off the damn LED strip. Sam S. says, any tips on getting a 0702 C-clip back on the motor? I must have tried 30 times the other day and could never get it to clip back on. I have zero chance of explaining it, so I will do it. It's fair warning though, it's super hard to show you how to do it, but I shall try. I shall try because I have developed a little bit of a trick to it. Not really a trick. So first we'll get it off. Trick number 1. Buy nerd goggles. Buy magnified goggles. Headset, whatever the hell it is. These are all over Amazon. There's a million different companies that make them. You'll find ones that look exactly like this. These are the ones that I like. Because being able to see what you're doing is super important. So put these stupid things on. And then tip number 2 is to get smooth jawed needle nose pliers like these that are half decent quality. All right. And now, so to get the C-clip off, which is a little bit easier, my little trick is to put one set of the jaws. I'm going to destroy you if you don't act right, Logitech. Put one set of the jaws on the motor shaft like this, and then you're just going to get the C-clip started. You're just going to push it a little bit just to get it up and going. Hold on. There it goes. See, it just moved a little bit. You just want to move it a little bit. There we go. So that just gets it started. And then all you got to do is nudge it, but you want to put your finger here because otherwise it's going to shoot off into outer space. And so it didn't work that time. It forced itself back on. So we'll try it again. One side on the motor shaft. See, like, if I show you guys, I can't see it. I'm trying to get my head down as close to the camera as I can. So just get it started. See it just budge a little bit. So that just gets it going. And then put your finger and just nudge one side. I got to, like, put my finger over it. Otherwise, it shoots out into outer space. And there you go. So now it's off, right? And your finger, again, is what keeps it from shooting off. The safer way to do this is to put it inside of a clear plastic sandwich bag. But the pain in the ass about doing that is that whole process there becomes really, really difficult. So now we've got it here, and it's just the reverse. So, I mean, you've got it off all the way, right? Step number 1 is to get it into position. I do that with hideously fine-tipped tweezers. Pick it up, and you're just going to get it into place first. So you pick it up, you drop it a couple times, and you just get it started. Get it right there. That's where you need it. Super gentle, and you just get it started. You don't push at all. These fine-tipped tweezers are not going to grab it hard enough to push on it. You got to use something like these to be able to actually push on it. And so now you're going to rotate the bell so that it's facing down, or even better yet, have it facing towards one of the screw holes there, and then rotate around. And you're going to do just the complete opposite. One set of the jaws on the motor shaft, the other set on the C-clip. You got to put your finger over it to make sure it doesn't shoot off into Never Never Land, and then you just moosh it, and now it's not going to go all the way on. You got to give it that extra little hit, and then that puts it on the rest of the way. How infuriating is it that I made it look that simple? It's not that simple. I've done that hundreds of times. The having the magnified nerd goggles, having a set of fine-tipped, smooth-jawed needle nose pliers. These are Lindstrom 7890, 7890. I stole these from my dad. Thanks, Dad. Sorry, Dad. Yeah, these work really well. You can find, I think Lindstrom is kind of expensive. You can find something on Harbor Freight or whatever. But yeah, you want them to be solid and strong, but fine-tipped, right? These are kind of the key. But yeah, that's it. That's how you do it. How many people just screamed, "What the fuck," when I did that real easy like that? It's not just you. It's all of you. It's a pain in the ass to do. Has anybody done it enough to get even remotely confident at it? Professor Biohazard says, thoughts on Geminix over Crossfire for pro gigs like those life cycling gigs you were doing. Geminix? Oh, Gemini. Gemini. I can't wait. Crossfire is old and way out of date. Gemini will destroy it in so many ways. In latency, in range, in competing with other RF bands and just noisy environments in general. Yeah, it'll be better in every way. There is Gemini is 100% nail in the coffin of Crossfire. ELRS 2.4 already was the nail in the coffin of Crossfire. ELRS 900 was a second nail in the coffin. There was already no reason for anybody to continue running Crossfire other than it works and it's already on a bunch of, a lot of people's rigs. But like Gemini is just like, yeah, I mean, it allows you to just not ever switch a module, right? Like this once I move all of them to either 900 ELRS 900 or ELRS 2.4 or dual band, this module can stay in this transmitter forever, right? I never have to switch it. I never have to even think about it. The receiver that you put in the builds is the receiver that benefits that build, right? Like hardcore long range is going to be either dual band or 900. Everything else is going to be ELRS 2.4 or dual band. And that's it. You've got the best of all worlds, right? You've got 900, you've got 2.4, and it's just good to go. Super exciting. Super, super, super exciting. I would love to have had Gemini when I was doing a lot of those gigs. I've had a number of Crossfire fail-safes from noisy RF environments or cell phone antennas during testing for those live broadcast rigs. In fairness, when I'm testing at those gigs, I run the thing until it fail-safes, usually. so that I can see the absolute extreme end of my range, right? With live, as a camera operator in a live broadcast setting, the most important thing that there is that when they take your camera and when they are broadcasting your camera, you give them something to look at for the entire time. And so that means if you're at the end of your battery, you run that battery to 0 volts. That also means that if you are pushing towards the end of your the end of your range, you push to the absolute limit of that range. Depending on where you, like, I never had to do that. They always came off of me before I got to the absolute end of the range. But if I hadn't heard them take another camera, what I would have done is run it into failsafe somewhere safe. So I would have basically, you know, if the racetrack is here, there's grass on either side. Whichever side had no spectators, I would just point it towards that grass and just let it run into failsafe into that grass so that they have that shot. And then I can move myself to get to get it out of failsafe and to pick it up and fly it home. But you don't hang the director out to dry and just turn the damn thing around while they're still on your camera, because that looks incredibly unprofessional. There are situations where, like, you might actually have to do that from a safety standpoint, but, like, if it's not a safety thing, right, like, you just run it all the way to the end. And so before the broadcast, I would just fly these things in, like, the safe kind of crashy areas, right, over sidewalks, over grass, and just push as far as as far as it would go, let it fail safe. And then the second thing that it would let me figure out is where I can walk to get the signal back. And so you're learning the edge of your range from where your base camp is set up, where you're plugged into the broadcast truck. But you're also learning, like, if I run it down there, or if something super weird happens, where can I move my physical body and my goggles and my transmitter to get better coverage? And so, yeah, that was one of the really cool parts, believe it or not, of that continues to be. I have one of those gigs, probably 2 of those gigs lined up for 2025. That's fun. That we don't usually do that. You know, we don't usually, like, push until we fail safe on purpose. It's neat to do that in, like, most of these criterium races are held, like, in cities. And it's neat to see how deep you can push, like, 3 blocks down around a third building, and still get bounces that will give you some signal. That's kind of cool. What the other reason why it's not much of an issue is that the video link starts to go first. And so when you start to really push towards the edge, the DJI signal will start to get blocky, and then it'll start to lose, it'll go from, like, 60 frames down to 30, down to 15. And usually if the director sees that, they're out right away. And so, yeah, it's not really a problem. But if that ever had happened, you know, like last lap, right, where it's, like, really important, there's always kind of a plan in place there. So, but yeah, Gemini would have been really, really, really cool, because I could have just pushed to the end of the video range and then hammered the throttle and pop up above the buildings. That's the other really cool thing is that the buildings are what's losing your signal. So you can always just flip into horizon mode, hammer the throttle, punch up above the rooftops, and get signal back. But yeah, Gemini is amazing. We're super lucky. Weebleed's in the house. He says, "Hey, Gangly Gang, Happy New Year. Let's make this one a banger for all." Good to have you, Zotek. Thank you for the continued support, my friend. Uriel says, "You're not so weird." You guys don't know the depths of my weirdness. Cheetonian says, "What 7-inch frame are you looking at?" I'm not, because I actually just recently talked to Ryan Harrell, and he got his CNC back up and running. So the 7-inch Cineglide arms, he said he's going to have them done, hopefully this weekend. So for the time being, I might throw the 7-inch. I probably will throw the 7-inch arms on the Cineglide to start playing around with 7s. But I'm not going to shop around for frames yet, because My ideal 7-inch build is going to be around the 04 system, and the camera is so big on the 04 system that all of the existing frames are going to have to be redesigned for a bigger camera cage. And so I'm not going to look at frames yet, because we're going to have to get a whole bunch of either modifications to current frames or full new frames around that camera setup. I did just watch Rugi's Kebab FPV Cycles 45 degree video. He sent me pictures of that like 6 months ago. He was playing around with it. And I was like, boy, is that ugly, but what a cool idea. Basically, it's search for what's his channel? Kebab FPV? It's not on the FPV Cycle channel, I don't think. It's just Kebab FPV, right? Yeah, Kabab FPV. Here's the link in chat. Subscribe to Rugi's channel. It's absolutely awesome. But this is it here. Super cool idea for a fast cruising rig. What he's trying to do is get efficiency without sacrificing serviceability. The AOS and Red Bull rocket ship builds, whatever you want to call them, pain in the ass to build, pain in the ass to work on, right? Like fragile. He's trying to get around that by just taking the canopy and rotating it so that when you're flying with the propellers at a 45 degree angle to go fast, the canopy is punching straight through the air, right? Versus with our current rigs, when you tilt them up like this, the central canopy and the battery are just this big long, block of not aerodynamic chocolatey goodness. And so, yeah, really, really cool attempt at figuring that out. I didn't watch the whole video, but the gist that I got was that the way he did it as an H frame. So the motors are mounted to like vertical pieces here, and then there's a center piece. We don't do H frames anymore because from a vibration standpoint, they're kind of a pain in the ass, and he seems to run into that same issue. So hopefully somebody will figure out how to make an X configuration with that 45, because yeah, that could make a really big deal. That could make a huge difference in having a high-speed rig that has decent efficiency. And that's what I think I want. I don't know. We'll see what the 7-inch Cineglide is. I'm actually really excited to mess around with that. We'll see. Uriel says that's why TinyWhoop is it. Indeed. Himok says something. YouTube scrolled me to the bottom for no reason. Unceremoniously. Himok says, like in general, if internal ELRS is dead, but it's still consuming power, on other AIOs there's a pad to solder to cut the power of the internal receiver. Not the case with the Matrix. So it sounds like you already contacted Betafpv. That sucks. Yeah, when these manufacturers build receivers and VTXs in to the AIO, they should really have two pads close together that are bridged that control the power going to those internal components, so that if those internal components fail, we can take the power away from them and then put our own external components on. It doesn't surprise me that they don't do stuff like that, though, all the time. But, yeah. Uriel says, you need the crashes to go the extra kilometer. What crashes? What extra kilometer? Everyday with Bruno says, I'm going to find some West Georgia spots on the Alabama line away from Metro, LOL. If you go in the middle of nowhere, there's plenty of 5-inch spots. Yeah. Gold Power says, my biggest struggle is pushing past 45 degrees. Yeah, that's when things get extra fun. At the, I was flying to get back to myself at the demolition gig. I was flying into 10 miles an hour of wind. And there were points where I was looking dead straight down. There was not a bit of horizon on the top. I was almost looking backwards to just push through the wind with a TinyWhoop. Luckily, I was pretty high up by that point, so I could just run like half throttle like this, and all the thrust was pushing me forward, and then gravity was pulling me back down, which I had to come back down anyway. Islander FPV says, I'm in the market for a good set of used Fat Shark goggles. I want to have OLED screens and a solid receiver to make the most of my TinyWhoops. Can you recommend a model to look for? My first recommendation is to not force yourself to do the OLED screens. They don't do anything for you as a pilot. They don't convey any additional information, and the HDO and the HDO2 goggles are going to be significantly more expensive than the non-OLED screened goggles. I've been flying HD3s, which are non-OLED screens. I've been flying them for absolute ever. About 2 years ago, I flew with my best friend Patrick, who's local here, and he's got HDO or HDO2s. I forget which one which one he has. We switched goggles for some reason. I did not like his OLED screens, HDO or HDO2s. And when he gave me the HD3s back, he was like, I think I like the HD3s better. I'm like, dude, I know. What is that about? It's almost like the OLED screens make it too contrasty, and like, but the long and short of it is that they don't do anything for you as a pilot. They don't convey any additional information. They don't make you fly better. They don't make the highlights look any better. They don't make the shadows look any better. It's like a vanity thing, basically. It's like look how big my E-dick is. I've got OLED screens. So don't rule out non-OLED screen goggles. Digital video systems, sure. I'm here for it. I get it. You don't have much of a choice. Most of those systems already have OLED screens, but when you have a decent quality video image coming through, then the OLED screens make sense. Analog is not a decent video, is not a decent signal. It might as well be regular old LED screens, and that's going to potentially save you a lot of money. Fat Shark HD3s are always the ones that I recommend. They're like, the field of view is not too wide, but wide enough. And you can get really, really good deals on them. And then for the receiver module, top of the line is the rapid fire. A slight step down is the TBS Fusion. And then a slight step down, or maybe a lateral step, would be the Speedy B receiver module. Greg Meyer says, just beginning my FPV journey. Your live sessions are extremely useful. Keep up the good work. Sent you $50 for healthcare with PayPal. Dude, thank you so much. I do not have my email open right now, or I might have seen that come through. Damn, dude, thank you so much. He says, thank you for the great information. This is for healthcare. Very, very cool, man. I appreciate it. Let's get this updated here. We're in the 200s. Look at us go. Dude, very cool. Super generous. Hey, couple of shout-outs. Speaking of my email. Whoever just did a Weebly order and remembered to hit my affiliate link, thank you for that. Very cool of you. I marked these emails so that I'd be able to see them, but then 10,000 emails came in today, and now they're buried again. There we go. Allie, welcome to the Gangly Gang. Hopefully you're watching. New patron. And then Moss, MOS FPV. Welcome to the gangliest of gangs, man. Thank you for joining the Patreon. Very, very cool of you. And then Bjorn Nelson, welcome to the Gangly Gang. Thank you for the support over on Patreon. Over on CiottiFPV.com is a link to my Patreon. That is the best way that you can support me. They take the smallest percentage, other than PayPal. PayPal doesn't take any percentage, but yeah. Joining the Patreon is going to get you kind of like tied into this amazing group of people that watch these live streams all the time and hang out over on the Discord. The main benefits to joining the Patreon, which you can do for as little as $3 a month. That's like 10 cents a day. I live stream 10 hours a week. Hopefully it's worth 10 cents a day for 10 hours a week of us screwing around, having fun, but also a lot of like really good content. I like to think, at least, a lot of testing, a lot of like deep discussions that not many, if any, other folks in the FPV world are talking about, right? Some of the other benefits, though, are going to be a unlisted playlist over on YouTube with all kinds of cool stuff. Patreon only live streams we've done, some sim racing live streams for the car nerds out there, some sketchy flying that I don't necessarily want to be public, not like fully illegal flying, but stuff that like I just don't, you know, totally want to be blasting out there and publicly. It's basically just like a building dive where like it's sort of right on top of a street. I was super safe though. I was standing there. I could hear cars and people going by. It's not something that I think would actually get me in trouble. But it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, Jesus, if that wasn't somebody that had been flying for the last 6 years that takes safety really seriously, that could be a little sketchy. And when you put something up public, you know, people watch it that have no context. And if it's a, you know, pilot that's been doing it for 6 months, that's super dangerous. What else? Full access to the Discord, which is pretty rad. There's all kinds of extra stuff on my Discord channel that the patrons can see. The color of your name changes over there too, which is, you know, big for that e-peen. And on the Patreon itself, there's a whole bunch of tech articles. At the top of the Patreon channel, there's a little thing with like tags. Click those tags. It'll sort all the posts. Most of the posts are the announcements for these live streams. But they're like, the most popular one is Tech Talk. There's a bunch of tech articles in there. But there's a bunch of other tags. Like I posted a Google Drive link to the camera testing, the raw images from the camera testing over on Patreon, right? So that you can look at those images on your own screen, not through YouTube's compression, stuff like that, right? Like I'll weigh a whole bunch of stuff. Like if I'm trying to figure out what a setup is going to weigh, I'll grab a bunch of stuff and just sit here with my scale and weigh it and take pictures of it, and then I'll dump those pictures all onto the Patreon. So there's all kinds of cool stuff going on over there as well. Other ways that you can support me over on CiottiFPV.com, other than joining the Patreon. On Etsy, I've got some really fun stuff that you can buy. Fiverr, you can work one-on-one with me. I'll help you fly better, tune better, build better. Teespring's got some fun shirts and other apparel. PayPal if you just want to support me directly. And then a ton of affiliate links. Change your bookmarks to someone's affiliate links, because it's hard to remember to hit someone's affiliate link within 10 days of your order and every single time you order. So just change your bookmarks, or if you don't use bookmarks and when you go to Amazon, you just type AMA and it suggests Amazon.com, you can remove that like regular Amazon.com suggestion. There's usually like a little red, a little X on the right of the suggestion, or maybe you have to right click it. It depends on the browser. And then once you've removed all of your suggestions for these websites, just click someone's affiliate link like 2 or 3 times in a row. And then your browser will think that when you type FPV for FPV Cycle, you don't just go to fpvcycle.com like it is right now, right? I'm going to remove that suggestion. And now I'm going to hit this FPV Cycle affiliate link. And now I'm going to go back. Oh, well, it opened up in a new tab. Look at you, fanciness. Hit it again, and now if I type FPV, there it is. My FPV Cycle suggested link is fpv.com/ref equals Ciotti. So that's, yeah, super quick, super easy way. I know you might have a bunch of links. Do one every live stream. Every time I go through this bing bong, go and change one of your suggestions, and then within a couple of weeks, you won't have to think about using someone's affiliate link. It doesn't cost you any money. Also, if you have Honey, for the love of God, uninstall it. Honey has been stealing affiliate commissions from content creators for many, many years. And Legal Eagle is actually, rightfully so, filing a class action lawsuit against them. And I hope that he kicks the shit out of them, because they have stolen hundreds of millions of dollars from content creators, and it is just not okay. Even when they haven't done anything, even when they haven't provided any service, any coupon, anything, They've been stealing affiliate links from people. It is not cool. Anybody that you know of that has Honey, tell them to uninstall it. They are a horrible company that does not deserve another penny from any of us. There you go. That's how you support me. I've got affiliate links to a ton of different websites. Use them. It's free money. It makes a big difference. It allows us to keep doing what we're doing. And it allows us to buy more stuff for testing, right? Those of us that don't rely on companies to send us stuff for free. Craig Myers, nope, we got that. Louis says, I recently fixed my 5-inch after a while of TinyWhoop and very floaty and carries a ton of momentum. Would a tune help? Nope. Or is it just how they fly and I'm unskilled? You're not unskilled. It's just how they fly. Tunes just get rid of prop wash. That's it. Tunes will not do anything other than make the rig match your sticks. Your sticks, there's nothing you can really do specifically on this. There's no stick movement to make it not keep sliding other than going like this and hammering the throttle, right? The weight of the rig is what makes it slide around. And the aerodynamics of the rig are what make it slide around. The tune has nothing to do with it. That is like such a common misconception in FPV, that floatiness or too much momentum or like basically anything. But most of the FPV world thinks that any problem, any flight characteristic that they don't want in that exact moment can be fixed by a tune, and that their tune sucks because their quad doesn't do what their brain thinks it should do. 90% of that is learn how to fly, but it's the other 10% is learn how to build and fly something that does what your brain wants it to do, and that is mainly surrounding the aerodynamics of the builds, the power, the amount of weight that it is, the size of the propeller. That's about it. Those are really the three things. But you're not unskilled. You're out of practice. If you fly TinyWhoops a bunch, you get used to a super lightweight rig that's got the aerodynamics characteristics of a literal brick flying through the air. And so when you go and fly something that is way more aerodynamic than an actual brick, and it's way heavier, hell yeah, it's going to carry tons of momentum and it's going to fly completely different. And if you put enough batteries through it, you'll get used to that. You'll get used to when, instead of being able just to flat corner like this, you'll get used to going like this and using roll and the throttle to get it to change directions. WeBleed says, when flying in an event like Rampage, do you feel the pressure of having people watch you, or do you manage to get into the zone and block out that perceived pressure? So at Rampage is a weird example, but it's typically the only event that I go to. At Rampage, I am like running / babysitting Micro Mayhem the entire time. And I'd fly in there a lot. And I fly pretty poorly. The anxiety, it takes me way out of it. But I'm just kind of screwing around most of the time. It's interesting. And then like that 5-inch battery that I flew, like there's nobody on that flight line because it's after the event. It's the Monday after the event. Everybody that volunteers to the event is allowed to come a day early and stay a day late and fly the entire place at their leisure. And so you don't have to worry about people plugging in on you or whatever. And it's so I don't do any flying other than inside of Micro Mayhem until after the event. Eventually I'll get there a day early and fly a little bit before, but and that's great because it's just me having fun and there's zero pressure. But yeah, when I'm in Micro Mayhem and I'm railing around, I fly pretty bad. But like it's not as, I don't think it's as much, oh my God, people are watching. I think it's more just the anxiety of the entire event. Like, you know, is everybody having fun? Like, just like being at a spot like that, it just, you know, one of the key characteristics of like proper mental health problems, in this case, generalized anxiety disorder, one of the main characteristics is not having control over it, right? Everybody gets anxious from time to time. Normal people get anxious when they should. When they're about to be attacked by a lion, they get super anxious, which gets their heart rate up and gets their adrenaline going so that they can maybe fight the lion off and not die. Those of us with like real deal mental health issues, we get anxiety when it doesn't really make a lot of sense to get anxiety. And also our level of anxiety is like extra elevated. Like if a normal person's max anxiety level is here, mine will be way up here to the point where I will have panic attacks or anxiety attacks. And you know, which is essentially your brain just being like, nope, too much. I need a break. And you just like, which is fun. I get claw hands too, which is great. My like all my muscles in my hands like just do this weird thing, and I get like these fucking claws that I can't release for a couple of minutes. And I haven't had a panic attack in a long time though. Luckily, they are not fun. And so an event like that, it just immediately puts my anxiety level to a point where it's like pretty unreasonable, and so that is what has the biggest effect on it. I can't slow my brain down enough to like to really like be creative. I'll catch myself like doing the same thing over and over and over again. I don't have like the creativity that I do when I'm more chilled out. But you know, there are worse things in life. But yeah, I fly like shit at events. My best flying is when I'm completely alone. You know what's super funny? When I'm on set, I actually fly I fly pretty good when I'm working, because I'm typically like relatively alone, and it's super fun. It's also because it's kind of easy. Like subject-driven flying compared to freestyle flying, is a lot easier. It's difficult in the sense of the stakes are really high. There is anxiety tied to it. And there's an unbelievable amount of like risk there because there's people everywhere, typically. But like, you're not Maddie flipping a gate trying to go backwards through a window at 60 miles an hour. You know what I mean? And so like the flying itself is easy. And so like, yeah, it's super interesting flying like freestyle versus flying at events versus flying on set. It's a wild, it's wildly different in ways that you wouldn't expect. It's kind of cool. But yeah, when I'm flying at events, I do not fly all that well. I'm on like super autopilot. This is your ego. This is the ego is your autopilot. When you drive to work, and then at lunch, like you can't remember that the drive into work at all. You were in your ego was driving, and that's okay. Our ego is important. Ego gets a really bad rap, right? Like we call assholes egomaniacs. Just because someone's an asshole doesn't necessarily mean that they're an egomaniac. A lot of times they are, but yeah, our ego is very important, but it's also kind of confusing. It's really important to protect us, but it's important for us to control our ego and not for our ego to control us. And it's hard to do. It's a lifelong journey, being able to control your ego. But when you do, you're a great person to be around, and you're an awesome human being on this planet, because like you're awake and you care for others and you don't treat other people like shit. And it's a good place to be. Uriel says, aren't drone flyers like here not so welcome at RC wing clubs? Kind of. I mean, if you show up and you're super respectful, and you might be okay. My recommendation would be like to try to like give them some good footage of like give them a reason not to hate you, basically. Chase them from a safe distance, give them some really cool flight footage of themselves flying around, right? That kind of thing. Maybe do like a little edit of like the location and like them hanging out flying, right? Like give them a reason to love you. That was kind of my approach with the RC Drift Car guys. I was like, going into it, I didn't know if they would be okay with me flying at all, but I decided, I was like, I'm going to fly, hopefully, and then I'm going to make these guys an edit, and it's going to be a good edit, and they're going to, from that point on, they're going to be like, yeah, that guy's cool, we want that guy here. So that would be my approach, right? Give them a reason to love you. But, yeah, there's a chance that they'll be like, we don't want your kind here. We are the of the RC aviation world. We are the scumbag skateboarders, that like ruin locations for people, make all kinds of noise, smash into stuff, right? So just understand that. Every Day with Bruno says, I'm on a few acres, 1,000-foot driveway. One day, maybe my own mini FPV park. Hell yeah. Steve Sim says, thank you. Is X12 Pro just X12 with ELRS 3.0? I believe so. I think we looked it up, and there's not really anything pro about it. But, I mean, there's no reason not to get it. The regular X12 is fine, too, though. G3R4RD says, how do we feel about twisting motor wires versus not twisting motor wires? Heard it was better to not, less noise. I don't think with motor wires it matters. What it will do is make the arms of the quad heavier, which is a bad thing. So I never do it. I run the motor wires completely flat down the arm. This also keeps them as far away from the sharp-ass tips of the propeller. The more height you put on the motor wires from twisting them, the closer it's going to be to that propeller that can very easily cut through the wires and just ruin your whole day. So yeah, I would not do it. I twist all the other wires up though. Every single other wire in the build, I do twist. I twist it up. There's it's called twisted pairs. Supposedly it can reduce noise by twisting signal and ground wires, I think it is. I do it because it looks better and it keeps the rat's nest at bay. So that if you have a quad that you need to troubleshoot, if there's just this big awful rat's nest of wires, it's like, oh, what the hell's, like, it's just impossible to figure out what's going on. If you've got a nice couple, 2-3 bundles of nicely twisted wires, it's like, why is the receiver not working? Oh, that bundle of wires going to the receiver is not plugged in. Cool. Or whatever. So yeah, I do it mainly for serviceability, versus anything else. But I would not advise doing it with the motor wires. Uriel says it started with C-clip bicycle chains. I never thought about that. Yeah, bicycle chains have C-clips. That must be a nightmare. Although they have specific tools, I'll bet you. Lewis says, do you have Louis says, do you have 04 compatible goggles? I do not. I thought you were a Vista guy. I am. For right now. Cheetonian says, Rosser said recently on his Discord that he will be releasing a 3D printable adapter for free that will allow the current AOS camera cages to support 04. I from what I'm told, the 04 camera is way bigger. Maybe Chris knew that was coming. He did just re-release all of his AOS frames. Maybe he knew that the 04 camera was going to be a lot bigger, and maybe in this newest version of his frames, he increased the size of the camera cages. But from what I've been told by reliable sources is this was a while ago, in fairness, that none of the current FPV frames would work with the 04 camera because of how much bigger it is, unless you were going to run like 0 up tilt, right? Like when a camera gets bigger, it'll still fit in the frame, but then you try to run up tilt and now you need a bunch more space, right? So, yeah. Cloudhopper says, I'm back to winding again, making some 17,200 kV RS802 for 2S 75mm. Very cool. I also ordered a bunch of the 1.5mm EX, nice, 0802 bells from AliExpress. Very cool. Very, very cool, dude. Dave Gunna says, Betafpv 0702 30,000 kV have been discontinued, I heard. That's a shame. Uriel says, I need a GMT watch for you. When I jump the fence in Holland, it will be worse. I will contact. Confirmed. Bath salts confirmed. I don't know what any of that means. Usually I can figure out a little bit of Uriel's comments, but I don't know what any of that means. Bath salts confirmed. Kevin, Uriel, you don't take advice to me saying that. Advice, great. You don't take offense to me saying that, do you? If you do, I will stop. You seem to have a good sense of humor, though. Kevin Sumner says, did you know that Honey is owned by PayPal? Yeah, unfortunately. But what I will say is that PayPal bought them way after they had been acting like assholes. So, like, and I'm not 100% on this, but like what it seems like is that Honey built their whole business and began ripping all these ripping everybody off, and then that made them tons of money, and they, you know, got big enough to get noticed by PayPal, and then PayPal bought them. It certainly doesn't seem like PayPal bought Honey and then went, yo, you guys got to rip everybody off, you should steal everybody's affiliate links. I could be wrong about that, but just the timing, it seems to be that like Honey was already a completely established company. PayPal came in and bought them, which is what big companies do, right? They buy small companies, and you know, I would love it if PayPal had noticed how evil they were being and had been like, yo, don't do that. That's not cool. But like the content creators that were ripping themselves off by running Honey ads didn't notice it. So I wouldn't expect PayPal to notice it. Uriel says, I don't get angry of the lion that mine problem. You better get angry at the lion. He's going to eat you. The Endo 1964 says, I flew my 6. I will fly another 6 with you if you're going to fly tonight. I'm indeed. Whoa, it's 8:30 already. Yep. Alley Cat says, hey, Alley Cat, welcome to the Gangly Gang if you didn't hear. I gave you your shout out for joining the Patreon. Thank you for that. Uriel says, I noticed likewise over here. I did same. It's okay. Then Denzel the Terrible says, drone pilots are the snowboarders taking over the wing pilots' skiing hills. Yeah, totally. Kmart, that's actually a perfect analogy. Kmart FPV says, I dropped a Guerrilla Whoop vid with vegan. You'd like it. Very cool. Post it post it on my Discord in the video collective, and I'll play it during the giveaways this Monday. Uriel says, if you call me a soccer supporter, I feel really offended, but otherwise no rules. May say what you think. Perfect. I'll never call anybody a soccer supporter. Cheetonian says, Rosser, just letting you guys know that all AOS V5 frames, all AOS frames with metal camera cage will fully support soft mounting of DJI 04 and ND filters. Nice. Very cool. The 7-inch AOS frame is at the top of my list for a 7-inch frame. Because I know that one of the big problems with 7-inch frames is tuning because of the vibrations, and the AOS frames are arguably the best that there are in terms of isolating vibes. So yeah, the AOS frames are at the top of my list, but I'll be interested to see what other frames pop up. One of the things I don't like about the AOS frames is they tend to be like the least aerodynamic, right? Like this is something that happens when frames are designed by engineers rather than like hardcore pilots, is that you get a frame that's brilliant at isolating vibrations and whatnot, but then when you put the nose down and try to go really fast, the frame, like the central body of the frame is like super wide and even less aerodynamic. And so yeah, I would love if a more aerodynamic 7-inch frame came out with support for the 04 system, because that's what I will do with a 7-inch build, is fly it fast, cruise at 80, 90, 100 miles an hour. If I'm going to fly a 7-inch build, that's the only thing that I want to do with it. And at those speeds, aerodynamics are incredibly important. So yeah, the AOS frames are, when you look at the top of them, they're some of the least aerodynamic in just from like a simple looking at it and thinking about it perspective. You never know, maybe Chris has run some fancy aero analysis and they're not as brick-like as they appear to be, but a lot of times with aero you can get like 60, 70, 80% of an idea from just kind of looking at it and telling, like, you know, if it's a big flat wide surface, it's not going to be very aerodynamic, right? If it's a skinny canopy and skinny arms, it's going to be a lot more aerodynamic. So yeah, you're certainly welcome for the shout out, Ali. Uriel says the lion will not eat me, I'm divine. Ryan says, opinions on the NewBeeDrone Hummingbird V3.1 bind and fly. It's awesome. I flew it the other day on the 12-hour stream, and it blew me away. Where the hell is it? Ah, it's there. We'll fly it tonight. Hell yeah. I put it on the little stand and completely forgot that it existed. Yeah, we'll fly this tonight for sure. The camera mount on it is awful. This is like the worst camera mount that I think I've ever flown, other than the fractal frames. Other than that, it's amazing. The power, the weight, yeah. It also has NewBeeDrone's OSD chip, so the video quality is not great. You'll see that when I fly it. But yeah, incredibly impressive rig from a performance standpoint. We will fly it in a little bit. Let me just get caught up on chat. Muttered Ertskin with a 777 super chat. He says we are beyond hell. He says, don't really do New Year's resolutions, but in 2025 I resolved to not participate in any competitions, a few exceptions. I compete only against myself. I love that, dude. I love that. I got very heavily away from competitions towards the end of autocross and motorsport, and I've never looked back, and it's been great. I do things because I love them, and I get better at things because when there's like a meta, when you get really good at stuff, and that meta contains like the art of a thing, in my opinion and in my experience. And I love that. I love doing something enough that yeah, you realize how it can sort of turn into art. That's defining art is pretty tough, but yeah, a big chunk of my definition of art is like, yeah, what happens when someone does something over and over and over again and gets very skilled at it. And so yeah, I love it, man. Thank you for the support. Very cool of you. Denzel the Turbo says, wait, CiottiFPV is building a 7-inch Falcon Rad RPM for the win. Yeah, I posted on the in general nonsense over on the Discord the other day that when 04 comes out, I'm gonna do a 7-inch build. I've got all these GemFan 7035s, right? And then I've got a set of Emax 2806 motors, and I should have already had a 7-inch rig. The Cineglide has been waiting for 7-inch arms for like 6 months. I had Rugi sent me the files, and then I asked Ryan Harrell if he'd be able to cut it in like 6 or 7 millimeter thick carbon, and he said he thought he'd be able to with his CNC. He bought some sheets, and when he went to cut it, it fucked up his CNC machine because of how thick that carbon was. And then we both got busy, and it just got put on hold for months and months. But yeah, he's firing it back up, and I think he's figured out how to actually cut those arms. So we'll maybe I'll leave them on. I mean, it depends. If they perform good on the Cinesplorer, like done, I'll just leave it in there because that's a fairly narrow body, fairly narrow arms. But I have a feeling that I'm gonna have a hard time tuning that. We'll see. But it's just gonna, that is a working build. It's a pretty high amp ESC. It's a Hobbywing, like 50 amp. And so I'm just going to throw the arms on, throw those giant motors in, and we'll see what happens. And if it flies good, that might be the end of it. But if it's a bitch to tune, we'll see. I'll go a different direction frame-wise. Cheetonian says, I think I have a AOS UL7 I'm planning to put the 04 in. Probably not terribly aerodynamic. Yeah, I have a pretty specific goal in mind for a 7-inch rig. And so, yeah. Veritas says, hey, bud, where's Teddy? I just heard him barking outside, actually. The TinyWhooping, once he comes back inside, will get his fuzzy little ass down here. Speaking of, let's fly some TinyWhoops. Let's see how many of these builds have binding phrases in them. The Nomad is binding phrased, but the Naminmo has some of these rigs, probably like 3 plugs, no binding phrase bound to it. So some of these rigs probably won't work, but let's fly. So let's go from lightest to heaviest. How about that? We will start with the lightest weight rig, which almost certainly is going to be the NewBeeDrone Race V 3.1. Let me bust out the scale, though, to confirm that. So the other lightest rig is this Air 65 that I cut I made the antenna ultralight on, and I actually ran double peak screws on. 2 peak screws on the inside, 1 metal on the outside. That has brought the weight of this little guy down to 16.65 grams. This is a prototype Air 65, but the Race NewBeeDrone is a little bit lighter, 16.47. So 16.47 grams first. These 2 lightweight rigs, I'm going to run on the lightweight batteries, the little 260 mAh 1S batteries. So let's see how this goes. I think someone has left Teddy outside and forgotten about him. I'm tempted to let him in, but usually when the upstairs people let the dog out, they open the back door, and I don't want that back door to stay open because my gas bill last month was $420 fucking dollars. And so I want the upstairs people to close that goddamn door more often so that I don't go broke. All right. VRX unplugged and replugged. There it is. All right, so the Nomad works on this one. That's good. All right, here we go. NewBeeDrone race spec. Oh my god. Forgot how light it was. Oh my god. Jesus. I gotta figure the tune out on this thing. It is, good god, is this light. Oh man, Teddy's still out there complaining. Hey. Yeah, the tune on this thing is on the edge. Matter of fact, it's a bit much right now, and I think it's kind of keeping me up in the air. It feels like more floaty than is okay. So let's take this tune down just a little bit to see if we can tame that. Much better. I was going to say, this thing is light, but it's not that light. It's also very powerful. These motors are nutty. I will let the dog in if this door is closed. No, see, the door's not closed. Close this door, upstairs people. Who let the dog out? Maggie. Get that dog back inside. Maggie. Maggie. Let the dog in, Maggie. Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, this is perfect. This will get her up, and then she'll remember about the dog. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. That was the wrong... No. Let's see. Oh my god. I'm trying to smack against the door. This is not going as I'd hoped. Why can't I... Why won't it turtle mode? What's happening? Where am I? Alright, here she comes. Come on. Let the dog in. Let the dog back in. The dog. The dog. The dog. The dog. The dog. No, no, no. This way. This way. This way. Maggie, Maggie, Maggie. This way. This way. No, no, no. Oh. I tried, man. I tried. Oh, God. Look at this thing eat that room. Look at this thing eat that. Oh, God. Eat that power loop. Oh, my God. Man. After this battery, I'm going to let the dog in and run upstairs and close that door. Oh, boy! There it is. She just remembered. I hear those footsteps. Look at this. Look what I did. 4 gates. As if this wasn't the impossible power loop gate as it already was. Alright, this battery's done. Yay! 3 minutes and 13 seconds, although a bunch of that was just bashing into the door over and over and over again. Yeah, that's the wacky OSD stuff. That's this CAK, K-A-A-K firmware that NewBeeDrone puts on here. It's interesting. Crazy runtime for a little 260 mAh battery. But lightweight will do that, man. Lightweight will give you really, really nice bumps in runtime, which is awesome. So there's that. Super impressive rig. Super, super, super impressive. We're going to move on to the Air 65 that I've got lightened up quite a bit. This is a prototype. The VTX is not finished on this, so you're about to see the difference between NewBeeDrone's built-in OSD on a specific chip versus everybody else's OSD. So the video quality is going to get significantly better here, but the VTX signal strength / connection is going to be worse. These are much lower kV motors. And they're also just straight up much less powerful motors. So like the hover point is significantly higher now, which is a hell of an adjustment. Oh, for God's sakes. See all these, like, all this garbage in the video signal, all these lines and shit? That's this VTX just being kind of a mess. But they fixed that before the production version. This is a prototype that they sent me for feedback. Woo! That was pretty smooth down the stairs. Okay, then there's that. Oh, wait, no. We're good. No, we're not good. I'm behind my flight bag, aren't I? What? Come on, get out of there. Get out of there. Come on. Get out of there. It's so close. Look at it. Ah! Okay. I'll move 3 feet to go get it. Oh, why is there a peak screw on the chair? Did it fall out? No, I must have been sitting on it for days. All right. Yeah, I'm giving these peak screws another chance. These are the Betafpv ones. They give you a set of the peak screws with the Champion Edition quad. Ah! All right, let me try this crazy quad gate power loop here. This thing is flying weird. I feel like the camera is not level. Nope, look at the ground. See how the ground is not level at all? Here, let's face the... See that? The camera has rotated in the mount. I really do not like these banana hammock mounts because of this. They just don't positively locate the camera in a way that it won't twist like this. And if you want to fly terribly, just twist your camera in the mount. Guaranteed you will fly like a box of smashed assholes. Having your camera be level is incredibly important. Wow, that's just a mess. There we go. That's better. All right. And the battery's dead. There he is. Hello, little boy. Oh, that's... okay. So, Matty flips are possible. Whether or not power loops are possible is another story. Not nearly as much runtime. It's a prototype rig. I also have much higher pitch propellers on these. And I was flying it hard for the entire battery. So, don't judge too harshly on those runtimes. That's the Air 65 prototype, the Teddy flip. Nice. Give him a message till cheese comes out. What's that mean? King Dingling says Pinch Cam now has a Betafpv camera plug and it weighs 1.4 grams. Nice. All right. Next step up. Well, let's just do all the rigs with CO3s in a row. So now we're gonna do the Champion Edition. Yeah. Champion Edition, untouched, other than a prop swap. This is now the HQ 1.2 by 1.2 by 2 propellers. I don't even think you can buy these yet, but they're awesome. They're my new favorite biblades. I really hope that we can get them in 1.5 millimeter mounting. That would be incredible. Hang on. Just getting a couple hairs. Let me put these 2 extra batteries in the charger real quick. All right. Now we're going to jump up to 300 mAh batteries. I can't believe the runtime out of that race rig, but again, for like a full minute, I was just bouncing it off the ground and the bedroom door and whatnot. So. I meant to say Champion Edition. Did I say Champion Edition or did I say Race? This is the Air 65 Champion Edition. Let's get this. Oh! 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 Hold on. I need a second. Hold on, that was just too fucking sexy. Ooh, this is going to be my new spot to see if cameras are even or not. And this camera is not totally even. Oh, look at that. You can use the OSD. So bottom right of the OSD, 19871. Look where that wheel is. And then look at max ESC RPM. The max, look at where that wheel is. This camera is not totally even either. See how the wheel is up in the middle of the A in max, but then 19871. That wheel is up a little bit on that 7. That's a straight line there. Oh! He didn't like that. Oh! Get in there, buddy. Go ahead. Get your beard all wound around some propellers. You won't. Oh! And now he comes back to home base. Oh, shit! Let's do some flying, goddammit. Ah! Oh, I did it twice! Hey, oh! Ooh! Crash recovery, hooking a brother up. Ooh! Ah! Uh-oh. That's never a good thing. Whoa, let's see if we can fly in Rainbow Land. Whoa! Jesus, hell. Is that just in my goggles? No, you guys got it too. Oh, this is a fun game. Oh, Teddy, no. Teddy, I'm in another dimension, my friend. Look out, Teddy. This is tough. There I am. Almost. Woohoo, boy. That is some serious rainbows. Let's cycle the power, and I'm sure it'll be fine. There we go. This thing flies great. It's a real shame that they're not. Oh boy, something ain't right. Something ain't right. Oh boy, we made it angry. What's happening, little buddy? My guess is going to be that the frame broke. What's happening with you, little friend? Why are you wibbling and wobbling? Why are you all wibbly wobbly? Huh. Let's go into turtle mode and spin each motor up. That tells you a lot. While you're holding it. Okay. Oh boy. You know what's interesting? This is the same VTX issue that happened to the one that went into the dog bowl. Although now it seems to be okay. The one that went into the dog bowl, when I would grab the AIO and put some pressure on it, the VTX would go into that full rainbow mode. Oh man, something ain't right though. It is very upset. Oh my god. Oh! It's a. I bet you this is a camera mount problem. I bet you the camera popped out of the camera mount. Watch this. Yep. The camera is loose in the camera mount. These Betafpv banana hammock mounts, they're durable, but the way that they hold the camera sucks. And yeah, I've been having this problem where the camera gets loose in the mount, and I don't know how to fix it. There's a chance that the screws are just like backing themselves out because it's only screwing into plastic, but I don't know. What the best thing though about these Betafpv banana hammock mounts is they raise the camera up high enough and they're stiff enough that the camera doesn't smash into the AIO and destroy the AIO. Limit says put some E6000 on the camera. Yeah, that would totally fix it for sure. Metarotsune says it came with a dog bowl mod pre-installed. That's this. You can't get it, so I'm not gonna fly it again. I wish that they'd made more of these. It's a real shame that they didn't make more of these because they fly awesome. But they didn't, and they haven't said that they are going to, and so I won't tease you anymore because you can't build that. Last rig with the banana hammock mount is the custom build with the Matrix AIO that they sent me in the Meteor 75 Pro with 40,000 kV TinyWhoop, WeBleed motors and the same propellers, the HQ biblades, ultralight biblades. This thing is hysterical. Let's bounce it around. This is the one that we broke the light AF frame on last stream. It's 17.6 grams, I want to say. I'll weigh it afterwards. Look at that nose. The nose knows. he only gives chase to the end of this cube area here. Oh god. So this is the first rig with Happy Model motors. I'm infinitely familiar with the way that Happy Model motors put power down. These are the 40,000s. Ah! Oh. That appears to be in a box. Oh, I got it out of the box. Oh boy. Look at this dog. What a lunatic. Let me check the camera rotation because it does feel a little bit weird. It doesn't look that bad. If I look at the baseboard... Oh yeah, no, it's off. If you look at the end of the M and max ESC temp and then 32 degrees Fahrenheit, the baseboard is way off. So yeah, this camera is twisted in here. This is maddening with these. Man, the long and short of this little exercise in camera rotation is that I am completely spoiled by the Mobula 6 canopies being sturdy so that you can't do this, what I'm doing right now, but also having screws to mount the camera. So that when you mount the camera, it's level, like, period. It just is. Unfortunately, that frame, that canopy, only accepts a couple different cameras, and in order to mount, and it's kind of heavy. When you run it with the RunCam Nano 3, it's not that heavy. Oh boy, I'm flying horrible. Stop with the goddamn runaway protection. Can you tell I'm getting frustrated? Oh my goodness, that was smexy. As was that. Ah! Ah! I just grazed it. This thing flies great. Oh no! Got a little off there. Oh boy. Just want to get a power loop. Oh! Disgusting! Disgusting! This thing flies great. If I could just get the camera to sit flat. Man, it really, if I feel really uncomfortable flying these rigs when the camera's not flat. Basically, like, everything feels wrong. Like, every correction that I do, it just feels like it's not right, and I can't settle down. I'm like up here, and I'm just like, ooh, like, I gotta really pay attention because it's not acting normal. I can't just, like, sit down and relax and just fly. I'm not flying, I'm flying the rig, if that makes sense. Next up, we're gonna go with... Oh, I promised I would tell you what it weighs. 17.7. 17.7 grams. Next up, we're going to go with the 30... Nope. 17.1 gram Mobula 6 2024 fully upgraded build with 40,000 kV 0702s. So same kV motors that we were just flying, a little bit heavier, but RunCam Nano 3 that is flat, as they all are, because you mount them to a setup that makes them sit flat. I can't believe that Betafpv didn't put little notches in this mount for the cat to positively locate the camera. But what I will say is that this mount is super bendy, and like when you mount it, it's never perfectly straight up and down. Like you have to sit here and like bend it and bend it and bend it, and like it's just, this is just a ridiculous mount design that like everybody's using right now because it's lightweight and cheap to produce. I couldn't decide to go left or right, so I went right in between. Oh god. Don't! Where is he? Where is he? What? Did he bail on us? I think he bailed on us. Whoo! Shit. Can you tell the difference? Can you tell that, like, when I fly this, I'm just in it? It just... I don't feel like I'm flying a TinyWhoop. I'm just kind of flying. The camera's flat. Everything is just kind of normal. Oh, just barely rejected by the beam. Oh. Double rejected. Oh, triple rejection. Oh, it's college all over again. 4 rejections in a row. Oh! No. No! Stop it. Oh god, my pants got me. Oh shit. Let me go check this camera over here, actually. Well, it looks like it might be a little off, actually. Look at the M and max. Maybe the G in 1.0 G is not as far to the right. Let me check it on the desk here. Now I'm like, see, now I'm just going to be super paranoid about it. Check it in front of the keyboard. It's hard to tell. It looks pretty level, doesn't it? M and max. Yeah, see, I mean, the problem is I can just go like that and it makes it look... I gotta come up with a... Wait, can I use this? Is there something I can do with this to... How can I use this? See, then if I put it... There's gotta be a way to check this. There's gotta be a better way to check it. Somebody just said in chat that the beam is better. You know, it might be, because to look up there at the beam while I'm flying, I have to fly it flat. You know, like it'll slide left and right if I'm not flying it totally flat. So you might be right. That might be a in-flight check every time. 32,000 kV Ultimate Freestyle TinyWhoop on a light AF frame. It's 18.1 grams. On the HQ Ultralight Tri-Blades. Runcam Nano 3 again. Let's check the beam. Yeah, see, this camera's flat. Oh god! What? Where am I? I'm underneath the mount that the DSLR is on. It's a crazy crash. Ah! Ah! I can feel it though. Like, I swear to God, I can feel when the camera's flat. Ah! Oh! I can when I can feel it is like when I come up here to do a power loop, if I'm gonna make a little correction one way or the other. Man, I'm having a hard time. The 4 gates here is a lot harder than just the 2, for sure. Boy, that is a tough power loop. There we go. I completely forgot the cheat code. The cheat code with the power loop here is this seam in the ceiling. This is perfectly in line with this. I totally forgot about that. So when I'm coming in for it, I just have to line myself up, lined up, and now it'll go straight through. I totally forgot about that. Oh man, I'm inside the... Nah, it ain't coming out of there. Wow, that's wild. Yeah. That power loop just got a lot easier. Hey. This is my favorite, like, all-around rig. I think. Yeah, that power loop just got so much easier. I totally forgot about that. That's weird. Come on, buddies. Don't make me go get you again. Don't do this to me. Thank you. Oh! Oh, yo! That was delicious. The throttle control that this build has is fantastic. I've also put like more batteries through this setup at this weight with these motors than like anything else. Arguably like everything else combined, I'll bet. And so it just feels like home, kinda. See if I can get the super low elevation gap. Oh yeah. It's so funny, man. Now that I'm running these micro V antennas out the top, these builds are all just tall enough for the antenna to just barely hit when I do that low elevation pass. This battery's ready to come home, but it's like every time the antenna just on that second one just dink. It's super funny. I smashed all these beautiful CiottiFPV magnets, which are re-available on the Etsy store. Look at that. I better fix them. Look how many there are. You could pick one of these guys up with a 1.5 or 0.99 millimeter drill bit so that you don't ruin your TinyWhoop motors. I mean, just saying. You could do that. All right, last rig that we're going to fly is the RC and Power most powerful rig in the world. 65 millimeter TinyWhoop. The RC and Power motors make the most power. They are not the highest KV. So it's a very grunty rig. It changes direction really fast. This battery is not fully charged. It was at 4.32. So it's almost fully charged, but it's not going to have quite the runtime. But let's fly it, and then I'm going to shut this down. This thing is 18.2 grams, I think. And apparently I have... oh boy. Binding phrases in every single one of these rigs because I've had the Nomad in here the entire time. Which is amazing, and also means that I'll never use that Minmo module again. Oh, shit! Come on now. Also, these RC and Power motors are like some of the least efficient motors. So this... Oh, boy, it would not drop elevation for me. This is going to be the worst runtime out of any of them. But boy, is the power fun. Can you stop? Oh, okay, that was my bad on that one. This is also on, I believe, the GemFan 1219S props, the most pitchy, most powerful props, which are paired well with these crazy grunty motors. Oh my god, I cannot fucking fly this thing to save my life. Knock that over. Great. You know, I was just sitting here like, you know what I haven't done in a while? Knock that little toy felt tree over. Oh god, no! Don't do it! Don't... No. Get off of there. Get... Where are you? Are you on top of a cymbal? I think you're on top of a cymbal, little guy. Oh, so close! So close to the coffee table power loop of death. Ah! Ooh, you couldn't even see that there were 4 gates that happened so quick. Oh, you can fucking see that, though. God, that looks cool with the quad gates. Did I knock this one gate down? Oh, for fuck's sake. Did I knock this gate down, or did the little thing pop out? I knocked it out of the little thing. These little cable clips, man. These are my favorite way to hang these gates. It's so good. They disappear, so like when you pull the gates down, it's like they're not even there. Ooh, this battery's donezo. Sorry, battery, that was mean. There you go, friends. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different TinyWhoops. Oh, this battery's getting a little puffy. A little poofy, this tattoo battery. I've got one battery left. Which rig should I fly it on? Let's go back and fly it on the very first rig, the NewBeeDrone race spec, because it's just hysterical and it makes a ton of power with no weight. NewBeeDrone version 3.1 race spec. Last battery of the live stream. Thanks for hanging, friends. Oh god, it's so light. Jesus. Oh my god, it's so fucking light. So you can see by the ducts that the camera is completely cockeyed now. If we come up to the beam, you'll see that it is not level. Not a level beam. I have to find a better camera mount solution for this thing. It is just kind of silly. All right, that's a little bit flatter, I think. Oh my god, I can't keep the damn thing out of the ceiling. Jesus, I literally can't. Oh, fuck. Oh, that's unrecoverable. Oh. I hate FPV. Ugh. This is hard to fly. Jesus. It's like a Miata with a 302. Like, it's funny, but it's not necessarily good. Ooh, man. That lightness, though, it just changes direction. This is also on a different camera. This is a BI camera, which I do usually like, but they take a little bit of getting used to. Boy, it just... These little direction changes are so cool because of how light it is. So you just, like... You can just fly it around with yaw. Just yaw it around, it changes direction. It's just got, like... Oh, no. Don't punish me, please. Thank you. Man! Let's stay. Oh! Shit! Oh! Good God, man! Yeah, this has better power to rate ratio than anything. Oh my god. Fuck you. Oy! I gotta get the, add a little bit of throttle expo. Well, let's fly it low to the ground. Does it need throttle expo? The way you can tell if a build would benefit from throttle expo is if you fly it really low to the ground. If you can control your elevation and not bounce around, then it doesn't necessarily need throttle expo. It's these really high kV motors that, like, you'll have a hard time flying them low like this. This one doesn't feel too bad. It's not... Oh boy. This battery's donezo. Oh my god, what's happening? Yeah. There you go, people. I gotta find a camera mount solution for this. This is insane. This mount is just silly. Man, what a ridiculous rig, though. Whew! What a thing. So light. So light. Damn. Wow. But yeah, it needs a much better mount. This poor ELRS antenna is just getting abused. Unfortunately, this mount is extremely lightweight. As soon as I change the mount, this thing is going to get significantly heavier. It'll still be insanely lightweight, but like it won't be as light as the Air 65 that I did some lightweight stuff to. Although I can probably, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll do an ultra lightweight TinyWhoop live stream next week and dive into the 16-gram rigs a little bit more. All right, friends, thanks for hanging. I'll see you on Sunday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Rybread says, have you ever taken out a few tiles of your ceiling and flown up there? Yeah, when I first moved in, I did. It's there's so many cobwebs up there that it just gets disgusting. And it's dark up there. CiottiFPV.com if you like this kind of content and would like to see it continue. I'm completely crowdfunded. I need each and every one of you to do something. Click the thumbs up, leave a comment, participate in the chat. Even better, though, if you have a couple of extra dollars, Patreon helps me out the most. You can join it for $3 a month. That is like 10 cents a day or like 7.5 cents per hour of live stream content. Hopefully, I've earned that. Get on over there, CiottiFPV.com, click the Patreon button. Come on board, become a gangly ganger. You're going to love it, and I can keep doing what I'm doing here and do an even better job at it with more of your support. This Monday is a giveaway live stream. If you are on the $3 a month tier, for $2 extra, you can go to the $5 a month tier and get entered to win $50 to $60 to $70 worth of TinyWhoop stuff every single first Monday of the month. You don't have to be on the live stream. It just happens. And then in the mailbox will show up a big old bag of a whole bunch of free stuff for an extra $2 a month, yo. Tell me that's not worth it. Go from the 3 to the 5 tier. Go do it. Love you guys. Bye. I'm not ready. Here's some flying from Rampage. Some 5-inching from Rampage. Or the computer will shit its pants. Either or. You know. Here's some tiny whooping from Rampage. How about that? Just a completely random tiny whoop file. I don't know what I'm flying. What's this? No idea what I'm flying. Enjoy. Love you. Bye. See you guys Sunday.